All right, so today's lesson is about what we call arithmetic series. Up until this point, you know about arithmetic sequences, right? A list of numbers that always go up or down by the same amount, right? That's what we focused on, I think, last time. Now, the goal here is going to be to find the sum, which means addition, of the first, and then this will be n, terms of an arithmetic sequence. Okay, so this is going to be the goal. So before, if I gave you an arithmetic sequence like 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on, you should be comfortable finding the 200th number, the 80th number in that pattern. If I asked you for a formula, we talked about that in the hallway with some of the groups, right? You should be comfortable giving me a formula for that pattern. Now we're going to add all those numbers together. Okay, and obviously there's a short way to do it, and it's kind of based off of what Gauss did. Here's a shortcut. The formula looks like this. It's an S, capital S, with the little subscript n. And the way I remember this, I mean, it's kind of easy to remember. I would just think of this as sum, and then of the first n numbers, right? So if this was like S and then 100, it'd be like adding the first 100 numbers together of the pattern, okay? And the formula goes like this. You take however many numbers there are, which is usually n, and then you multiply it by the average, of the first and last number in the pattern. Okay? And so, going back to that story that I told you, that's kind of exactly what that little, back in the day, that little boy did, right? He added all the numbers together. In other words, here's the first term, here's the last term, right? Added them up, got 101. At some point he divided by 2 because it was twice as large as it should have been, right? And then he multiplied by how many numbers there were. This is what the formula translates to using symbols. Add the first number up, add the last number up, divide by 2, that gets you an average. Multiply by however many numbers there are, and we're done. Okay? This works for any arithmetic sequence or series, really. Series is just a fancy way of saying all the numbers added together. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's something as basic as 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. If it were going like 1 plus 8 plus 15 and it was still increasing by the same amount, you can still do that. Okay? And so we'll start with a basic example. Let's say we wanted to find the sum and let's say we have 6 plus 9 plus 12 plus plus 306. Okay. So we're going to start off kind of a problem that's it's not hard, but there's a little bit of work to do, okay? First of all, do you guys see that it's going up by 3s every time? Okay, so that's how we know that this is arithmetic. So that means that I should be able to use the formula S sub n equals n first term plus last term all over 2. Okay, the problem is one of those things I don't quite know. So here's my side work. I don't really know what n is. I don't know how many numbers there are, right? I know that it starts at 6, and I know that it ends at 306. It's not quite as easy as this one where it's pretty clear, okay, there's 100 numbers in the pattern, right? Because we're going from 1 to 2 to 3 up to 100. Here I'm going from 6 to 9 to 12 up to 306. So one way that we can figure out what is n, let's go ahead and find the formula. So if you recall, for an arithmetic sequence, this was the formula that told us every term, right? Why isn't that showing up? There we go, okay. So this is the formula from last time. And if I use this formula, I can find a rule for the formula, okay? Because I know the first term. What's the first term? 6 plus n minus 1. And then what is the difference each term? 3. Okay, so let's simplify this. So let's do a little bit of algebra. So we have 6 plus, and now remember, distribute the 3. That's 3n minus 3. So then 6 minus 3, you can combine that to make positive 3. So we have 3 plus 3n. So here's our rule. Okay? This rule tells us any term we want and vice versa. If I know the term, I can figure out which term it is. Okay? So for example, I can set it equal to 306 to figure out which term this is. Maybe it's the 80th term, maybe it's the 100th term, I don't know yet. But if I make this equal to 306, and then solve for n, we can figure out what n has to be. Okay, so how do I solve here? We just, you already did it, yeah. So we subtract 3, right? We get 303 equals 3n, and then you divide by 3. That looks correct, 101. Okay. We started off with a kind of challenging question. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? Some of these questions will be a lot easier, but this is probably as hard as it's going to get, okay? So now that I know that n is 101, now I can go over here and say, okay, the sum of the first 101 terms, and now I literally plug everything in. N is 101. What's A1? A1 is 6, right? Plus 306. Let me change the highlighter color here. This represents the last term, right? Divided by 2, and there's your shortcut. Okay, so this is where the calculators come in if you have them handy. Oh, and we will need them for sure today because I got to show you something pretty cool on there. But go ahead and type that in, figure it out. Hopefully you've already done it. Anybody have it yet? $15,756. All right. You can see why adding these by hand or even just using the calculator and going 3 plus 6 plus whatever, not a good idea because the numbers get pretty big and it's easy to make a mistake, okay? Any questions on this problem in particular? This is a kind of challenging question. I put everything that we've been working on together right off the bat. All right. Let's dial it back a notch. I'm going to make it a little bit more straightforward, and then Mario is going to walk us through how he does it. Find the sum of the first, let's do 86 terms in the sequence 2, 6, 10, 14, etc. So here's your sequence. We're adding everything together. Okay, it might be written out for you, like the first question where it's literally written as an addition question. It might just say, if you add all these together in words, right? But it means the same. So go ahead and take a minute or two to work through that, see what you can do. If you don't know what to do, start with the formula, plug in what you know, and then if you see something that you don't know, see if there's a way that you can figure out what that is. And then you should be good to go. I don't know the answer. It looks good. Pretty much, but actually a lot less. Start by writing the formula. So start with this. And then this is what I would do. Do we know what n is? You sure? Because you didn't write the whole thing down. Look at what it says. Find the sum of the first. And now, do you know what A1 is?
A1 is 4.